Dr. Hart arrived one crisp autumn morning, her presence exuding a calm authority. She carefully examined the shard, her brow furrowing as she traced the intricate patterns with her fingers. "This piece still holds a significant amount of energy," she said. "Eliza's spirit is fragmented, much like the mirror itself. To truly free her, we need to reconstruct the mirror and perform a more powerful ritual." The thought of piecing together the shattered mirror sent a shiver down my spine. Nevertheless, I was desperate for peace and agreed to her plan. Dr. Hart provided a list of additional items needed for the ritual and instructed me to find all the fragments of the mirror. Over the next few days, I scoured my attic and found the remaining shards. Each piece I found seemed to vibrate with a dark energy, almost as if it were alive. Finally, with all the fragments gathered, Dr. Hart and I prepared for the ritual. We set up in the attic, creating a sacred circle with the required items, black candles, herbs, and an ancient spellbook that Dr. Hart had brought along. She carefully laid out the mirror shards in their approximate positions, the jagged edges aligning to form a broken, incomplete whole. "Once we start, there's no turning back," Dr. Hart warned. "We must follow through, no matter what happens." With a deep breath, I nodded. Dr. Hart began the incantation, her voice steady and commanding. The air grew colder, and the room filled with a palpable tension. As she chanted, the shards started to glow, a faint blue light emanating from them. The shadows deepened, and the temperature dropped further, our breaths visible in the frosty air. Suddenly, the shards began to vibrate, the energy within them intensifying. The light grew brighter, and the outline of Eliza's figure started to form within the mirror. Her eyes, hollow and filled with sorrow, locked onto mine once again. "Help me," she whispered, her voice echoing through the attic. Dr. Hart's chanting grew louder, more insistent, as she raised her arms, directing the energy toward the mirror. The shards quivered, and the room was filled with a blinding light. I shielded my eyes, feeling a rush of cold air envelop me. When the light faded, the mirror lay whole once more, Eliza's figure no longer visible. The air was still and silent, the oppressive presence gone. Dr. Hart lowered her arms, her face pale but determined. "It's done," she said quietly. "Eliza's spirit is free." Relief washed over me, mingled with a lingering sadness for the tortured soul we had released. I thanked Dr. Hart profusely, feeling an overwhelming sense of gratitude. In the following days, my home returned to normal, the shadows and whispers vanishing. The mirror, now whole and cleansed, stood as a reminder of the ordeal we had endured. I moved on with my life, the haunting a distant memory. Years later, as I was packing to move once more, I came across the mirror. Holding it up to the light, I saw my reflection, whole, unbroken, and at peace. Yet, deep within the glass, I thought I caught a glimpse of Eliza's eyes, no longer hollow but filled with a quiet gratitude. "Thank you," a faint whisper echoed, and I knew her spirit was finally at rest.